My name is Koby Falks. I'm an Australian content creator, predominantly known as a OnlyFans creator. So I've also in the Pornhub top 100 for amateur gay male worldwide. Currently, I've been nominated twice for Pornhub with Best Daddy. Haven't taken that home, but it's been 2 years in a row. And currently nominated for a Gay VN Favorite Bear. So it's good to join you.
So, explain to us what kind of content do what kind of adult content you do?
Yeah, so I mean, I started with OnlyFans, which is obviously sort of more amateur-based content about 4 to 5 years ago. So it was just as COVID was sort of taking off that I sort of wanted to supplement. I do have a day job, but I sort of wanted to supplement that with a side hustle, and I kept hearing about this platform called OnlyFans. It was sort of starting to pick up in the mainstream media. If you haven't heard of it, I don't know where you are. You must be living under a rock, but essentially it's sort of a social network site where you film videos. They don't have to be adult, but the platform obviously does allow for adult content, so that's where majority of the content has gone towards. But essentially, creators like me make a profile, we set a subscription price and put up our videos, and people can then pay to subscribe to you. So the sort of content I put up is I am actually a gay creator. I put up stuff that is things that I enjoy. So like I'm Australian, and so basically it's just me and my mates getting together, having fun, recording it, and putting it online and sharing it with people. So it's a bit of a insight into my personal sex life, I guess. Um, but recently, like due to the size of our accounts growing, we have started to travel a lot more and go overseas and work with a lot of creators overseas who are kind of keen to get some Aussie beef. So
So it's all sexual?
it is pretty much all sexual, yeah. So, OnlyFans, it is basically all sex. But I supplement OnlyFans. Obviously, I have quite a large social media following. So my Instagram account at Koby Falks, I think I've just hit 107,000 on there. Obviously, the content I produce on there is very different to OnlyFans. So I very much try and lean into what I like, which is when I was growing up and discovering that I was gay, I liked men and I like very masculine men. And I sort of feel like that at the moment there is a bit of a content gap in the market for masculinity. It's kind of got a bit of a bad rap over the last couple of years, like toxic masculinity and stuff, which obviously is all very valid, but there are positive sides to masculinity as well. And that is what I am attracted to. And so I'm trying to fill that gap by providing content that kind of highlights masculinity in a positive light, a very Australian based version of masculinity as well. Obviously, down here in Australia, we have a very outdoorsy lifestyle. We're often seen as quite rough and rugged, very sporting, because we are a small nation. Although we are the same size as the United States, we only have 26 million people, and most of us live on the East Coast. So we don't really have that variation like in the United States, with each state having its own kind of, like unique pocket. You can kind of guess where people are from in the States, East or West. Are they Midwestern or South? For us, we kind of come together more as a nation than individual states. So just trying to showcase that through my content, put Australia on sort of the international, I guess, creator scene. Um, as well as just highlighting what it is that makes me me and what I'm attracted to. So,
Well, it's very interesting. Like here in the States, we have what we call bear men, which are
yeah,
considered more masculine than from the so-called normal, whatever.
yes, in the traditional sense.
But so it's just like your what do you call it, fan? What's the name of your group?
Sorry,
What's the name of your group?
group
Yeah,
meaning,
you said fan. Was it fan?
and sorry, I don't know what you're referring to.
I'm sorry. No, you said you. What's the name of the your podcast?
Oh no, I don't actually have a podcast. So, but my Instagram, are you referring to, is
Yeah.
where I put all my safe for work content out. So generally for my Instagram, I'll produce lots of reels.
Mm.
I try and hone in definitely on sort of my hobbies and interests. Like I like four-wheel driving, and basically I'm just trying to showcase that, like, I think when people hear of LGBTQ, or they hear gay, or they hear queer, they kind of have a very predefined and narrow notion of the sort of people that fit in there. And particularly, I think with the younger audience at the moment, like your Zoomers, they consume a lot of content through, obviously social media with TikTok, YouTube, Instagram and stuff. And obviously, the people who are very visible in that queer LGBTQ space are the ones, are quite prominent, and they think that, like, oh, okay, if I'm queer, I sort of need to be like that. But that's just a subsection of the community. Like you said, I
Right.
would be what you would consider a bear,
Right.
which is another part of the community and quite a large part. For me, like, I would say I'm straight passing, which means that if you were to see me in the street, people don't instantly assume that I'm gay. In fact, they get quite surprised when they find out, because I look normal, whatever normal is.
Yeah.
I'm just myself. So I guess what I'm trying to do is just show people that in terms of sexuality, anyone could be gay. You can have your kind of woke people on online that are pushing whatever agendas they have, but the handyman that comes over to your house could be gay. You just don't know. Sexuality doesn't necessarily define your identity in every case. So,
I find that very interesting. I mean, maybe I'm not paying attention to what's going on with the new generation, but as I was coming up, I mean, you, you, well, it wasn't so anybody could be gay when I was coming up. Plus, a lot of it
well,
was
same, yeah,
it was in the closet. So
yeah.
one, you're not going to know, especially if a man is married and he looks very masculine. He's not going to let his wife know that he's fooling around, fooling
Well,
around with.
send him my way. So,
So I was just curious because when I saw when they put you down to be interviewed, I thought maybe you had your own little club, like, and I thought maybe that it's like a dating thing, how they have all these dating apps now for gay people. And
yeah, I mean, there are a plethora of, as many straight dating apps, there's as many gay
yeah,
dating apps. So,
and I've
you
noticed,
know,
have you been on Facebook?
yes, yeah, I do have a Facebook.
Facebook, I don't know. Well, I'm gonna say I don't know why so many on my Facebook feed, but lately Facebook has a lot of gay stuff. I mean, they have all these gay clubs now, looking for to follow, and it's something new, at least for me.
Yeah, I find it interesting because I think, like, obviously, like you said, when I was growing up, well, being gay was illegal in the state that I grew up um, in Australia. And then obviously, I came out before we got marriage equality here, I think 5 years ago. I'm 39. I came out when I was 19. So 20 years ago. Um, and I've seen a shift since marriage equality has happened. So sort of like, when I was out, just being gay was sort of like a big deal, like, and pushing for gay rights or recognition or whatever. And we kind of got that with marriage equality. We got equality in Australia, and you guys have it in the States as well. Um, but now what I've noticed is that now that being gay is no longer seen as a big deal, think there are kids in high school now who are gay one week, they're bi, the next week they're pan, they're trans species. They're going through the whole spectrum trying to figure themselves out, which is great. Because in high school, I was closeted, I repressed myself, I didn't explore my sexuality, I was, whatever. Now I think kids have a whole color palette to dip and choose from, because obviously they can consume online all these different sort of subsections. So now that being gay is essentially normalized, we're now starting to see the other issues that were further back from being just homosexual, but like now all of these other things such as trans rights and stuff being brought to the forefront. So it's kind of like this momentum where you open the door and the first thing is done, and then you go, oh, okay, what's the next thing? And the further back you go, the more extreme it obviously gets as you go right up to the end.
Yeah,
But I think now we're starting to see with the younger generation, they're not looking to think, oh, we need to get gay people equality, because they've already got that now. They're starting to think like of the next thing, which I don't even know what that is because I'm an older generation. But so I've found that very prominent in my younger fans and subscribers.
yeah,
A lot of them reach out to me and say, like they say thank you for being, because they go, like I'm gay, I'm not out, I'm on the down low kind of thing. I'm not attracted to what's in the mainstream media as or what is portrayed as gay men or on social networks. I don't identify with that. Like, I'm just me.
yeah,
So I get a lot of messages saying that when I came across your content, you showed me that I can just be me and be gay. I don't have to become this other thing. So I actually think there's a whole pocket of gay men who do identify as gay, but they don't identify, they still identify as a masculine man sort of thing, but they feel like they can't be that because at the moment it's not really accepted. Being accepted as a cisgendered masculine man kind of gets bored up with this stigma of toxicity. And so they're sort of repressing and hiding that because they're not fitting into what is now the general queer norm. So when they come across me,
what is the
yeah,
general queer norm?
uh, who knows? Like and that's the thing. Like the spectrum is so broad. You have, and that's the beauty of it, is that it's kind of like you can be yourself, whatever that is. As long as you're not hurting other people, like who really gives a fuck? But we have to also realize that that includes cisgendered people. That includes traditional masculine, traditional feminine people. There are lesbians that I know as well who are traditionally feminine and like and like that as well. So we've got to realize that when we open up to say equality, we've got to be accepting of all somethings and not one is held above the other. So,
Yeah. Well, in my day, they had a word, they had a label for everything. You said
oh
lesbian.
yeah,
One is a femme and one is
yeah,
a butch. So I think that's how they had. I haven't heard the terminology.
yeah.
I mean, but it was interesting because I did a video on my YouTube about I was I like this guy, I forgot his name now, but he's a singer and he made a music video. And in the music video, his nails were painted black. And I
Oh
did
yeah.
I did on my podcast YouTube, and I said it turned me on. And then I had a lot of straight guys who was commenting. A lot of straight guys claim that they paint their nails. They're like, that's no big thing. I'm straight and I paint my nails. And I thought, well, I mean, it was interesting because I didn't see it as gay when I saw the guy in the music video with his. It just maybe I'm crazy, but I got turned on looking at his. I thought it was very sexy, and he looked very masculine, and he had these black nails, fingernails.
I mean, look, people are turned on by lots of different things, and it doesn't necessarily mean one thing or the other when it comes to your sexuality either. Like I think the funniest thing in relation to that is like anal sex,
Yeah,
actually. You know, everyone assumes, oh, you're gay, you like anal sex.
yeah,
No, half gay men enjoy it, half gay men do
right.
not.
Don't,
They're,
right,
they're tops and bottoms.
right,
But then you got to think, oh, okay, if half of gay men like it and half of gay men don't, why is that? You're all gay. It's like, well, the pleasure you get from anal sex is not tied to your sexual identity.
right.
It's tied to your physiology, right? So it means that you enjoy exploring that part of your body. So it's a physical sensation that you get off on. So you have to think, oh, hang on, if it's a physical thing, then it can't just be contained to gay men, surely. And it's true. There are plenty of straight men who love anal sex. You know, they get their wives to peg them, they like their ass being eaten or played with, and they're not gay because they just enjoy the physiological sensation of it. So even though they're like maybe getting pegged by their wife, or maybe they're going after, you know, they go for a trip to Thailand, which is quite common. So you have these straight men who are bottoms in the sense
Yeah, I know.
getting getting fucked, but they're not gay, you know. And I think people really, when you put it like that, people really have to think about it because they just assume, oh, you're gay, you like it in the ass. Like, no, it's got nothing to do with my sexual identity. So,
But I fooled around with a guy. He kept saying he's a bottom, he's a bottom.
yeah,
I showed me pictures. He was 70, well, he was older than me. He was 76 or 77. And he kept saying he was a bottom, he's a bottom. And he came to my house. Of course, we had very sexual anal sex. Okay, he had ED, so he couldn't do. And then, but his brain wasn't, but he wasn't a bottom because there's certain things that he would refuse to do. And I'm doing all the work, you know what I'm saying? With
yeah.
all the toys, I'm doing all the work. And then finally, because he wouldn't do nothing
He's a
else.
lazy bottom.
Right. He wouldn't, he didn't, what he said? He didn't like blowing, he didn't like dick in his mouth. He don't like cum, he don't want it on him. And I look at him and I said, well, let me tell you something. You're not a bottom. You're a top who's getting off because he could I asked him, why you want all these things in your rectum? He said it touches his prostate. And that's how because he can't get a hard on anymore, but that makes him. And I said, well, you got the terminology. I guess he was, but I think he was straight. But so I think he's doing the gay terminology because he wants anal sex, he's a bottom. But he didn't
He thinks
have the
it's gay.
brain, he didn't have the brain of a bottom. He had the brain.
Yeah,
So
yeah, right.
right?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And like, I know plenty of straight couples where the guy, you know, they'll get a third guy in to sort of fuck the husband, and but he's not interested in the guy, he just is using him for his dick.
Yeah, yeah,
And he's all the attention is on the wife sort of thing, because it's like he is kind of like a bottom, but he's not gay. So he has to kind of have that third in there to do it, you know. And I think too that's why like you see sometimes like a lot of very it's kind of a running joke where you know the biggest guy in the gym, the bodybuilder, kind of has this Asian ladyboy girlfriend.
yeah,
And you know, and so like, and it's like, and they're not gay, but they have sort of like a trans girlfriend, sort of common knowledge. And it's you know, sometimes I think with all the roids that they get ED, you know, it's one of the side effects. So but they're like their prostate stimulated, and
yeah.
you know, and I think you know, like we've been told that anything with anal play means you're gay. You know, you're growing up as a kid,
Right,
you're gay, and you get poked in the bum with a stick, kind of thing. Like, no, I'm not. But you know, I think like in terms of the wider society, especially in the, you know, that is shifting. Because even when I was out in my early 20s and we'd be out clubbing or whatever, and like people would ask if you're top or bottom, and it was kind of shamed if you were a bottom. You were seen as feminine if you were bottoming.
yeah,
Um, because you're basically the girl in the
yeah,
relationship.
yeah.
Um, but then I think like one of my porn heroes, Paul Wagner, He's a very, good looking traditional masculine guy, came out as a big bottom because in porn, bottoms used to be kind of like, younger, twinky, effeminate guys, and that was like they were the bottoms and the big mask guys were the top. And
Right.
so you thought in order to be big and masculine, you had to be the top. And I'm a bottom, I'm a power bottom, that's what I say. So I try and push that because it's part of the things I'm saying is that, like, just because I take it up the arse, doesn't mean I'm not masculine.
Right.
I can still be. I mean, have you tried to take it up the arse? Do you know how painful it is? There's nothing. There's very stoic if you can do it on your first time because it is very painful to begin with, and I think men get off. Pain is pleasure.
Oh, yeah,
Me-
that's another part of the gay communities.
yeah,
Was it
but I
beat
think,
them? Yeah.
but I think men in general, pain and pleasure are very close, right? Like we like to push ourselves physically. Women tend to be more emotive, men express more physicality simply because of our nature. And we enjoy stuff like going outdoors, sleeping in under leaves, hunting, fishing, sports, all of that stuff. And like that's painful stuff, but we also get pleasure from it. And I think it's the same in sex where we enjoy working out or training and it hurts, but you feel good. Anal sex, it kind of hurts because it's very intense on your prostate, but we learn to associate that pain as pleasure and we get off on it. So, it's very close that boundary of what is
Yeah.
pain and what is pleasure.
I brought home a straight guy and he tried to jam it in and I yelled at him. I said, he said, but you're gay, right? I said, yeah, I don't know what kind of gay men you've been with. That's what they like. I said, but not all gay men wants to be jammed in, like you said. And
Yeah.
I'm not into all that, I'm not a pain person.
Yeah, yeah. There's obviously extremes to every case. So, but I remember for me, like my first time bottoming, was like a really slow
Right.
process, like lots
Right.
of stops and starts, having a very patient boyfriend, all of that. And it took years for me to get to the point where I can actually just enjoy it. But I think one of the biggest things with anal sex or bottoming is because people ask me, they're like, how do I become a better bottom?
Mm.
And it's like, well, number one, practice.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is learning to let go of control because at the bottom you have to learn to let go of control and give that to your partner to the top, whoever that is,
Yeah.
female or male. Because if you're trying to bottom and you're trying to control the situation, you're not relaxed, you're not in the moment, you're kind of trying to control something that you don't really have control over, and then you don't enjoy it because you're thinking, right? So once you learn to give up control and you put that trust in the other person and just let them, and obviously you have to have a bit of a connection there, like they have to be able to read you and vice versa to respond. If something kind of hurts, they can slow down, whatever. um and then that's when I began to enjoy bottoming, was when I learned that I could give up control and give it to the top and just take it and relax and get into it. That's when I enjoy it the most. As soon as yeah. But if you have a bad top who's not really reading your signals, that's where
I
it
know.
comes in,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you go, oh well.
I have some
So
guys, straight and gay, who think just because you're a bottom, you just want to jam up your butt. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
no, it doesn't work that way. I always tell them it doesn't work that way, but So listen,
100%.
so you have, I'm gonna put it in in the description of this video about the different places they can go. Because I joined you on Facebook, I joined you on
Yep.
Twitter. So I'm gonna put
Yeah,
all
yeah.
now I'm gonna tell you something. I want to talk this. I want to mention this. Twitter is a Twitter. No, it's Instagram. Now I've seen stuff on Instagram that really shocked the hell out of me. They're actually having sex on Instagram, aren't they?
Well, look. Instagram have quite strict community guidelines. I've had posts taken down, and I don't post sexual content to Instagram. Um, I do see quite explicit stuff on Instagram.
Right.
And I have this thing where I'm like, "Fuck, how do they get that up there and my
Yeah.
content gets taken down? Like, that's not fair. That's not fair." But I think you'll find that like what I do is I actually bookmark those explicit ones that I think, oh, you know what? I'm gonna bookmark it. And then like a month or two later, I go back to my bookmarks to see if that content is still there. Generally, it's not. It has been removed. Because what I would say is even though you're seeing explicit content on Instagram, you're kind of seeing it when it's there, and then you don't see when it's removed because it's removed. So quite often you'll come across a post, and if you go looking for it again, it will be removed.
Oh,
I
okay.
think I think Instagram is getting better. They did feel very homophobic
Yeah.
a few years ago. Like it felt very the disparity between what, for example, women could post. Um, with their kind of tits squeezing or whatever. And then if a man was doing the same thing, it seemed that it was a lot harsher on men. Um, so like, we would post sort of photos that were similar to, maybe a female creator posting. Theirs would stay up and get pushed out, ours would get banned. And I know some people who work at Meta and who work at TikTok and stuff, and those platforms are only as good as their algorithms, and
Mm-hmm.
their algorithms are only as good as the people writing them. And so a lot of these people who are writing the algorithms, you've got to think, where are they based?
Right.
Not everyone is based in the United States. They're worldwide social media networks. So obviously you're going to be getting developers and writers from more conservative countries. So baked into the algorithm is going to be their kind of, views of their country where maybe homosexuality isn't as well accepted. So the tolerance is going to be a lot lower than if you have, someone from the States. And it's the same with moderators because it's a 24-hour moderation cycle. It moves from, you could have a moderator from the States, from Australia, from the Malaysia, from China, people all over. So if your content lands somewhere like in China to a moderator where homosexuality is a little bit, not really well accepted, they're gonna look at you with a much lower tolerance for it than someone if you got a moderator in New York. Probably be like, it's fine. So I think sometimes, like a lot of that disparity just happens to be bad luck, depending on who you get in the moderation space and who's actually writing those algorithms. So
Well, Facebook is getting kind of liberal because I've seen they got these guys who looking for people to follow them. They're always on my feed, and they clad pretty, I mean, they half naked. They just don't show their, what, but I said, wow, I mean, that's pretty interesting.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I find that like what's interesting, and I don't understand this, is that like I'll post something to Instagram,
Uh,
and at the same time you can share it to Facebook, and then I'll have the post removed on Instagram, but it stays up on Facebook. And I think, are they the same company? No, like stupid.
okay, Kobe, right? Kobe?
Yeah,
Well, Kobe, it was nice talking to you.
thank you. You too.
I
Thank you
have,
for having me on
and I
on all
have
the
looked at
craziness.
I have looked at your content, and yes.
Well, I'll have to flick you a year's link so you can
Oh,
have access free to all the content that you like.
okay. Well, thank you very much, and I wish you luck on it. I consider myself adult content. I mean, I've been banned from TikTok, by the way. I did.
I've been banned 3 times, I think, and they're
Yeah,
about to shut down. So, what goes around comes around, is
yeah.
what I'd say.
Okay, it was nice talking to you.
You too.
All
Thank
right.
you so much for having me.
Okay, bye.